So we're going to be continuing the discussion of complex numbers. In this case, we are going to be asked to, say we're given this thing, compute I to the power of k for k is equal to 1, 2, 3. Now this is going to be straightforward. It might seem complicated at first. We need to remember that I squared is going to be -1. This is a property that we just have to keep in mind when we're talking about anything that has to do with complex numbers. We keep in mind this property, I squared is equal to -1. Wherever we see an I squared, we go ahead and we replace that with -1. Now we're asked to compute I to the power of k for k 1, 2, 3. And when we're ever asked to do something like this, we know we're looking for a pattern, right? If it doesn't tell you, what the upper bound is for these numbers, it's going to need a pattern. And any type of problem you see that encounters this, you will be looking for a pattern unless it tells you how many values it wants you to look at. So if we're going to look for a pattern, we can go ahead and construct a little table over here. So we can have k on top, and we can have I to the k over here. So we can go ahead and write out some values. We'll go ahead and write 0, 1. I'm going to start at 0 just for the sake of, I know it didn't ask me here, but I'm going to start from 0 just to see if we can look what's going to happen in this direction as well. So it's just a little bit of extra work. Nothing that's, necessarily, you don't need to do this. So we'll do this up to 6, and we'll go ahead and write these values here. Well, we know I to the 0 is going to be 1, which is why I want to write that, because it helps start off our pattern, because it's still going to be true. We know I to the 1 is going to be I. We know I to the 2 is going to be -1, because that's our property, right? This is going to be I squared. So go ahead and write that. This is I squared. We know we can replace that with -1. So we know here this is I 0. We know this is automatically going to be 1. And we know this is I to the 1, and we know that's automatically going to be its own term I. So these are just 3 properties that we know. The first 2 are common properties that we know from just exponents. And the next one is one that we have with our complex numbers. Now here if we go and we have this one over here, well, this one's going to be a little bit tricky, right? What are we going to have when it comes to the 3? We're going to have I to the 3, which is going to be the same as I multiplied by I to the 2, so I squared, which is going to be the same as I multiplied by -1, which is going to be -I. So we see how this is going to form, right? And after we get to this point over here, the pattern is going to repeat. Now, if you want proof that the pattern is going to repeat, we can go ahead and do that. We'll do it for this one over here. I'll go ahead and give you a bit more room so we don't just keep writing all over the place. What would I to the 4 be? I to the 4 would be I squared multiplied by I squared, which would be -1 multiplied by -1, because we're using our property over here. And then we are going to just simply get 1. If we do I to the 5, we are going to get I to the 2 multiplied by I to the 2 multiplied by I. In this case, you have -1 multiplied by -1 multiplied by I, and you're going to get I. And the pattern is going to repeat, so this here will be -1. So go ahead and write I right over there. So that's how the pattern is going to repeat. It's just going to keep going over and over. And we can look at this on a, let's go ahead and, chart this out over here. So we can try to visualize what's going on. So what do we have here? What were the values that we had? We're going to have, let's go down here. We had, so put X, Y. We had here, we had 1. We had I. We had -1. And down here we had -I. So every time you multiply by I, you are spinning around this circle, right? You're going to see it's this whole thing here. We can go up, actually, I can mention this. This is, 4 periodic. Oh, whoa, bad font choice here. Bad font color. 4 periodic. Because every time you go through 4 elements, you are repeating over and over. So here, every time we multiply by I, so every time we multiply this by I, which is what happens when we increase the exponent, right? Every time we go, say we go from I squared to I cubed, well, we're just multiplying that by I, and then we go from I cubed to I to the power of 4, then we're just multiplying by I again. So we keep multiplying by I. So multiply by I. Same thing goes here. Same thing goes here. And same thing goes here, right? Multiply by I, multiply by I, and multiply by I, and you just keep spinning around the circle over and over, right? It's 4 periodic, so every time you do 4 turns, you're going to wind up in the place that you started. And that is essentially going to be it. So we're going to look at a few more things regarding complex numbers over the next few videos. If you have any specific questions about them and you want me to go into more detail, leave a comment. I'll either answer you or make you a personal video to help you do it. If this video helped you out, or any of the videos I've made have helped you out, please subscribe. It means a ton. And I'll see you guys in the next video.